Imagine a wave so massive it was once considered impossible, not because it had never been seen, but because no one believed the human mind could exist inside it. Big wave surfing was never really about standing on a board. It's about entering a space where hesitation has consequences and confidence alone means nothing. The ocean doesn't respond to motivation, it responds to precision. For a long time, surfers didn't chase giants. They waited, they reacted. They took what the ocean offered. Then something shifted. The mentality changed from riding what appears to actively hunting what shouldn't exist. Unridden peaks, deep water monsters, waves forming far beyond the horizon, where mistakes don't fade, and experience is the only currency that matters. The question stopped being whether a wave could be surfed, and became who was willing to accept the cost of trying first. At this level, physical preparation is just the baseline. Breath hold training, impact resistance, cold exposure, recovery protocols, all necessary, all measurable. But none of it matters if the mind fractures before the body hits the water. Big wave surfers don't eliminate fear. They negotiate with it. They understand something most people don't want to hear. Entering the ocean doesn't erase your problems. If you carry mental noise into heavy water, the ocean amplifies it. Emotional control before the paddle out isn't optional. It's survival.
2 years ago, I drowned. Suffered, it's, I guess, clinically considered a non-fatal drowning where I was held down one of my wipeouts so long that I lost consciousness. And I was underwater for a significant amount of time. It was out of pure ego that I went back as soon as I did. I paddled back out, to a big wave session, big wave competition 3 weeks after it happened. And it was literally, just my ego of, this is, who I am, and I got to bounce back and, prove to the world that I'm, not, had it not been for them, I was dead.
At some point, experience teaches you that strength and skill won't save you if your mind isn't stable. Control in heavy water doesn't come from pushing harder, but from quieting the noise before it appears. This is something surfers at the highest level understand deeply. As Tom Carroll has explained, mental control isn't about eliminating fear, but about creating enough internal space to act clearly when everything around you accelerates.
That feeling of getting caught inside for a solid set was like, we got to be on. The body's got to be on. The mind has to have that experience of knowing itself in the pounding. And that's where, this stuff, where we're doing is kind of giving the people that we've given the course to a sense of themselves in situations they never would have had that sense for.
Today's big wave surfers are not reckless. They're obsessive in a quiet way, calculated, methodical. Their lives are built around preparation for moments that may never come.
If you don't know that, if you don't know the science behind holding your breath for a long time under pressure with a high heart rate, then you just go into these wipeouts like, fuck, I hope I survive. I need to hold my breath. And when you have that hope type of mindset, then your heart rate goes higher and you start burning more oxygen.
Right.
But if you don't have that hope, if that's not a part of your mindset and you're just like, shit, I've done the training, I know how long I can hold my breath with a high heart rate. And knowing that number and knowing that you're pretty much never going to be held underwater for that long. Like I could hold my breath. The longest I held my breath during the breath training thing that I did was 5 minutes and 34 seconds.
When things go right, history is made quietly, almost casually. When they don't, time stretches. Wipeouts aren't mistakes, they're reminders. Held down, disoriented, lungs burning, panic knocking at the door. Survival comes down to presence. Not strength, not ego. Presence. No past, no future. Just breath, position, instinct. Every generation redraws the line. What was once impossible becomes studied. What was once feared becomes mapped. And still, the horizon keeps moving. Deeper water, more remote breaks. New tools, new risks. Big wave surfing doesn't progress in leaps. It progresses in margins. Slightly better decisions, slightly calmer minds, slightly more respect for what cannot be controlled. In the end, the biggest waves on Earth aren't conquered. They aren't dominated or mastered. They are briefly shared with people willing to arrive, prepared, quiet, and honest with themselves. The ocean doesn't reward confidence. tolerates clarity. And maybe that's why surfers keep coming back. Not to escape life, but to be reminded that clarity is fragile, control is limited, and presence is earned, moment by moment, in places where pretending stops working.